in the dead of night, when most of us are tucked up warm and safe in our beds, there are those who don't sleep. For some, their trade is in the darkness. Those who patrol, investigate, or provide emergency and medical assistance. Many who ply their trade in the night hours do so willingly, embracing the quiet and the shadows. But sometimes the darkness serves up more than they bargained for. Working as a police motorway patrolwoman in Portsmouth, England, I'm frequently confronted with situations that are both bizarre and unnerving. However, the incident that occurred in November last year is by far the most unusual of them all. During a routine speed camera setup in the city, it was around 9:30 p.m, at which time it was completely dark. Our speed trap picked up random tracings of non-existent objects which were hurtling past at 30 to 40 miles an hour. The devices we used are never known to malfunction, so we trained the camera on the road surface to see what we picked up. Sitting in the back of the patrol van, we were shocked to see on the screen that the camera was picking up what can only be described as human figures, and they were running up and down the street about 40 feet away from our vehicle and only barely visible through the night vision filter. I'd say they were of average height, but they had a silvery hue about them, and they were sprinting up and down the central reservation, which is the dividing surface between two opposite lanes on the motorway. They were running up and down repeatedly and very fast. I'll admit I didn't exit the vehicle to investigate, but apparently I didn't need to, because only about 10 feet away at the side of the road, one of these silvery entities just appeared on the screen. It was female, approximately 6 foot, and standing motionless, facing away from the van. She was dressed in scantily clad clothing, not unlike that a young woman on an evening out might wear. Well, I was extremely freaked out, especially considering that leaning out of the window, there was absolutely no evidence of anyone standing that close to the vehicle. At the end of my shift that night, I went back and played the footage from the camera, and the silvery objects and the woman standing near the vehicle were not on the tape. Okay, I'm going to call it. This is one of my favourite encounters ever. Oh, I wish I had seen this. I'm not sure if I'd have gotten out of the vehicle to try and look at them directly. I think I would have. How about you? Human nature urges us to try and name or categorise what or who it was that she saw. We like to stamp it with ghost or spirit or fae or demon or interdimensional being. I don't know what these forms were, but isn't it fascinating that they could be seen live, as it were, by these police officers on a night camera, but didn't appear on the recording? Please share your thoughts with me on this one in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. If you enjoy these true stories as much as I do, please consider becoming a YouTube member. Members of my channel receive treats and exclusive content, and also help me enormously to build my channel. Do you believe in shapeshifters? Well, this next one has a real mystical feel to it, almost an urban legend vibe. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen, and I'm glad this fella shared his strange experience. I was a patrol deputy in a small Texas panhandle town in the 1990s. One winter night, after a good solid snowfall, I was down the alley behind the business district checking for open doors when I saw a woman at the far end of the alley, about a block away. She was standing in the middle of the alley, looking in my direction. She was a white female with long, dark hair, wearing a long black evening dress, but no coat or gloves or anything like that. It was after midnight and achingly cold, so I called out, "Miss, are you okay?" She looked at me, then turned and stepped into what I knew was a recessed area behind one of the stores. So I got back into the cruiser and I drove down there, expecting to find the dock door open and the kids of the owners hanging out. But the dock doors weren't open. None of the doors were open, and the only thing in that little recessed area was a black cat sitting on the gas meter. As I grabbed the flashlight and started looking around, figuring I was about to find an intoxicated girl passed out in a snowdrift, the cat hopped off the meter, rubbed against my leg, and wandered off down the alley. It was only then that I realised that not only was there not anyone passed out in the snow, but my footprints were the only ones in the fresh snow. And when I say my tracks were the only ones in the snow, the cat didn't leave prints either. And I wasn't new to the tracking game. I'd tracked children across dry, hard ground before that. So I got back into the cruiser and hightailed it back to the office. I told the dispatcher about it and she said, "Oh, her. Yeah, she's been showing up for about 20 years or so. No one has a clue who she is." Hey, did you see the cat too? Freaked me the hell out. I hadn't said anything about the cat. I have no doubt that people who work at night see, hear, or feel many things that they don't go on to share with anyone for fear of ridicule or judgment, but they may even feel that repeating their experience would affect their career. So, the only options are to report their experience anonymously or to share it with a trusted friend. My mate was a paramedic and he had loads of weird experiences, but this is the one that I remember the best. One night he got called in for a really nasty car accident. He and a bunch of cops and other medics show up and the car wreck was totally stacked. There was only the driver in the car, but it was a mess. My mate took a moment just to take in the scene around him, and he saw standing by the car what looked like a 7-foot-tall dude with no skin, just standing there, staring at the guy in the car. He was shook up at the sight of it, but he didn't stop to think about it. He just got on with doing his job. So not long after the paramedics had arrived on scene, the driver that the skinless dude had been standing over died. There was absolutely nothing that they could have done to save him or even transport him. The thing is, my friend is certain that the thing he saw was some kind of demon that was there to take the driver with him. Wherever that was, your guess is as good as mine. I hope you enjoyed this selection of strangeness in the dark of night. It's a strange world. Keep your eyes and ears open and be kind. Cheerio!